TikTok does what it is that I imagined YouTube should do. If they can't stand the voice, for crying out loud, of a particular content creator belonging to a particular country, YouTube should say, we don't like this woman's influence over our citizens that are American, so let's just close her off altogether from American, followers, from American viewers. Let's shut her channel off. I've been crying about that on 3America. So you don't want me talking? Fine, whatever, do you. I don't care. If you don't want your citizens to hear me, or if you feel as if though your citizens' ears are too legit to quit, where I'm concerned, it's a game. I'm not even targeting Americans. I'm literally trying to heal South Africans. I'm trying to help them understand the calamities laboring to decimate their own country. I'm trying to help South Africans understand the spiritual catastrophe in the sky against them. Really, frankly, if not even a single American listens to me, I would not care. I would not lose sleep over it. While it would be great to reach an international audience for Jesus, more than anything, I care most about my country. So if you were to shut my doors off altogether from being heard by everybody across the world, even other African countries, I wouldn't care insofar as you allow South Africans to see me. Because my message has been for South Africans, even though I don't got no honor in my own hometown. So I don't care if nobody else listens to me but for South Africans. While on TikTok, I was achieving that goal until they suddenly shut me up. You understand what I'm saying? Where it is that the TikTok algorithm will automatically recommend you first and foremost to your country, and then everybody else, because the algorithm will then grow your content until the rest of the world sees you. Then maybe you might get the odd American liking your content, the odd Ghanaian liking your content, the odd South American from Colombia liking your content, but largely the first people you will draw to yourself on TikTok will be from your country. They will be from your country, to a point where if you open the TikTok application either on your cell phone or if you check it out on your PC and you don't have an account, you just going in there blind without an account, you will still get recommended to you trending content in your country. You will get trending content in your country, like the recommended celebrities that TikTok would recommend to me to follow on a page that has not logged on. But it can, of course, the system knows that I'm coming in from South Africa. They will be South African celebrities. Like when I open a TikTok page without logging on, I will be told follow Connie Ferguson. I will be told follow Kiman Caspanyo Vest. I will be told follow Bonang Mateba. Marako YouTube, you will be landing in there, opening a YouTube page fresh all up in your grizzide, not logged on to Google at all. You're just somebody checking stuff out. They will show you Mr. Freaking Beast or some dancer in America that has managed to garner for herself 30 million views for doing some steps nyana setup thing. It'll all be American recommendation, even though you are literally coming all the way from South Africa. They will shove America down your throat. That is what under heaven YouTube does. That would be okay if YouTube saw it fit to mostly American content to your face when you are logged out, because they want to, advertise their own country. That's what's good, and also proliferate the culture of their own country more than any other country. But once you log on, it should just dawn on them that more than likely people that will watch you are those that can culturally relate to you. So they should be proliferating, just like TikTok, to your country first and then everywhere. What they are doing is allowing you to be seen by pretty much everybody, all right? But you do not see everybody. You will get viewed when you upload content onto, first of all, you log in. Now that you're logged in, you're obviously from South Africa. You've got like your name. Your name is like Tembi Shabalala. Tembi Shabalala will still have Mr. Beast recommended to her. Do you understand what I'm saying? Until she trains the algorithm who she wants to view. So if Tembi is into dance, she will then be recommended niche specific videos. She will be recommended dance videos. They will all largely be dance videos from America. It is so freaking annoying. It'll largely be dance videos from America. They are not going to recommend Amapiano to Utembi unless Utembi looks for Amapiano. So she has got to put in the keywords Amapiano, and since not many Americans are dancing to Amapiano, they will be forced then on YouTube to recommend to you a South African video or somebody else out in these streets, whether or not they're South African, that is dancing to Amapiano music. That's what's good, all right? But now when you go into a niche that is not specifically South African, or a category, a subcategory that is not specifically South African, you will struggle to find your countrymen, and Christianity is among them. Christianity is a niche. Religion is the main niche. The sub niche is Christianity. It'll then recommend Christian channels to you. But they will largely be, oh guys, it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting to a point where you will actually develop an animosity when you hear an American accent anymore. When you see what is being done, you will be irritated with hearing an American accent in a way that you never used to be. So this is creating a passive aggression and a hostility in Africans against Americans, when Americans are not really the issue here. It's their freaking government that is shoving them down our throats. However, they are happy to take it because it's favoring their particular cause more than everybody else's. You will be recommended only American preachers, pastors, prophets, etc. Unless you deliberately, now how do you break it down? You need to put in the word South Africa. But understand, what South Africans have started doing, right, in order to be found by South Africans, is literally put next to their channel South African YouTuber. They have literally done that because that's the thing. My thing is, they have observed it. They have observed that unlike Americans who don't have to say American YouTuber in order to proliferate audiences in America to watch them, South African YouTubers, just to garner for themselves, other South Africans who are going to look at them, have got to say South African YouTuber in a way that it doesn't happen on TikTok. Like literally, go look for it yourself. Like almost every maybe fourth or fifth, maybe half or maybe 60% of South African YouTubers next to their names will put /South African, because then if you are sick and tired of happening upon nothing but American content and you type in South African next to the video that you're looking for hair, if you want a South African hair content creator that's going to recommend products to you that are findable, searchable, discoverable on South African FMCG shelves, if you can find like something you can find got clicks or got discam, you've got to say South African YouTuber. Otherwise, you will watch an American YouTuber explain this beautiful process of getting her hair to be curly, and then you won't find the products because they don't sell them in South Africa. So you literally want a South African YouTuber to tell you how to manage your curls so that you can walk into Discam and buy their products. Walk into Discam and buy their products. YouTube does not avail you that, which is why it is losing clout in comparison to because go TikTok or go how you will find your own. Nonetheless, so the fact that South Africans have got to put South African YouTuber next to their handles, next to the names of their channels, is also yet more evidence of the algorithmic manipulation by YouTube. So they will make you watch Americans while you, in and of yourself, when you upload content, will initially just be placed before everybody, but you will notice that once you start to grow at a particular rate, there is a sudden thwarting of you. Like, look at this with shorts, for instance, right? Shorts can be the one thing that makes you grow really quickly, right? It can give you subscribers like real fast. When I was yet to be shadow banned by YouTube, there was this one short that I uploaded, and when I refreshed my page after something like 5 seconds of uploading it, I was already sitting on something like 500 views and something like 30 likes. Within just the first 5 seconds, I was sure that this thing's gonna go viral. Lo and behold, when I kept on refreshing after half an hour, I was already sitting on something like maybe almost 100 likes on this video, okay? I was like, whoa, this is really going viral. And then it suddenly stopped. It suddenly stopped. Well, how in the world did this just suddenly stop? Did people suddenly stop liking it? Did people suddenly stop watching it? When the algorithm, rather, when you get liked, you get pushed. When you get liked, you get pushed by the very liking of your content. No, a system that was told as soon as a person coming from this particular country starts to go viral and they're small, you've got to thwart them. You've got to stop them. So all of a sudden this short stopped growing and my heart hurt. It happened in my main channel. I then went on right ahead because I noticed that they were targeting me. So I imagined it was facial recognition. I then hooked up a what do you call this? A faceless channel. I did a faceless channel, right? I have a faceless channel on YouTube. I've tried so many things. And on this faceless channel initially, I uploaded stuff, right? And I was left alone until one of my videos started to go viral. It started to grow really quickly within a very short space of time. And lo and behold, predictably within half an hour, it suddenly stopped. After half an hour, it suddenly stopped. So basically the system recognized not so much my face, because I was not uploading. Not so much my voice, because I had used one of those AI generated voices, because I thought they were targeting me personally as Karabo. So I took out my voice and I also took out my face. So YouTube would not know it's me. That's what made me realize that this is not an individual target. They're not looking at me based on my face. They don't care about Karabo. They care about South because that channel was a South African channel, even though you did not see the face of the content creator. At some point I thought it was IP address related. The way that I was so paranoid about why in the world are my things suddenly getting thwarted, until the Lord said, no, it's not IP, Garabo. It has nothing to do with your IP address or where you upload from, because YouTube is aware that people can change their IP addresses. You can rock up from a cell phone, another cell phone, or another laptop, another computer, or you can come from an internet cafe. It's not IP related, it is country. It is pinged on country. Your country has been targeted by YouTube, and it is not just your country, but it's a myriad of other nations. And it is a Cold War strategy that is unconstitutional, and America would never ever confess to it, personally and physically, as a war against these countries, because it is against what it is that they stand for. They would not want to be such bullies on that scale. Very well. So when I discovered that, all of a sudden I was thwarted based on the fact that I come from South Africa, and they can't allow me to go too fast as an African content creator, I then stopped with that channel. I abandoned it altogether, and I was like, if I'm going to invest my blood, sweat and tears, I need to minimize or limit how many things I work on. Otherwise I'm just going to be exasperated and ironed flat. So I just continued with the channel that was being persecuted and kept on uploading with the slow growing channel, going absolutely nowhere, doing absolutely nothing of value, or at least doing something of value but not getting recognized or seen for it. Okay, very well. So they are targeting South African YouTubers. As South African YouTubers have noticed this to a point where to advertise themselves, they've got to stipulate, if at all people want to watch a South African in particular, South African YouTuber. However, if you don't put South African YouTuber next to your name, keyword search ain't gonna do nothing for you. Keyword search is not gonna do anything for you. Search engine optimization only operates, or should anyway, on a search engine like Google, but not, you cannot pay YouTube a price, or some what do you call this thing, some developer, some like digital guy, a handsome fee to make sure that every time somebody keyword searches for something, they find you. You, as a content creator yourself, have to become an SEO expert, which is something that I initially started to do, because I was so frustrated by the lack of growth of my channel that I studied all different kinds of content online to find out how to grow my YouTube channel. And among the recommendations being sent my way by, listen to it, American content creators, optimize the search engine likelihood of you being found first of your channel by focusing on keyword search. So one of the recommendations, one of the things that came highly recommended I should try by, like I said, another American content creator. So I'm not going to write them off. They've got some pretty good advice, but it only applies if you're American. It only applies if you're in your country. So this America is wreaking havoc in the reputations of their own citizens, making them look like these big giant bullies, and also making their citizens look as if though they don't like to compete healthily with everybody else across the world. And so basically they want to keep their power by thwarting everybody else. They're giving Americans a bad reputation, unbeknownst to themselves. Very, very well. Okay, yeah. The information that I had garnered for myself from many of these content creators that are largely in America was to hook up, these particular steps in order to get ahead. Yes, and one application or plugin that came highly recommended was TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy, of which will help you find the right keywords to use within your particular niche. It'll help you as well with a what do you call this, like a thumbnail generator. The free version, there's quite a lot of features. It'll tell you how your subscribers, how you're growing, how fast, like all that jazz. And initially I tried TubeBuddy, and it was working out for me for all of 5 seconds until it stopped. So it became irrelevant. All the information that you could ever study, right, in order to grow yourself, everything that you would need to invest in your particular business, if at all you're using YouTube as a business, all these strategies that otherwise work stop working. So it becomes futile when you're in a particular country. It becomes futile for you to focus on doing shorts, to make sure that your shorts are, learn what is the perfect duration for your shorts in order to really grow. What is the one video that went successful, and how you ought keep repeating that video, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So do it again and again and again until you've gained for yourself 100,000 subscribers. I tried all that. I used TubeBuddy as a plugin that shows you the subscribers you're growing in by a day, how well you're doing, how well you're tracking, the thumbnails. I tried the thumbnails, everything, shorts, all these things that you do to grow your channel, until one day everything just kind of stopped working for me. So essentially, when you're in Africa, when you're in South Africa, let's use South Africa as an example, even your methods or your strategies to grow your channel based on tried and tested successful methodologies used by other people don't matter. It's like having a lecturer at university that hates you so much that no matter how much you study, you will always just get 50%, even though you studied so hard, that you should essentially be getting 90% on your exam. They will just rate you because they don't like you. I had a teacher like that in English when I was in high school. You see how eloquent, how well spoken I am? I've always had the gift of the gab, not only in writing but also orally. I can speak very well. This teacher just did not like black girls, black kids. She was Indian. She just had an unfair bias towards Indian kids. She just wanted to proliferate the Indian agenda, where any other race of child, especially blacks, in the classroom, no matter how well you would do on your oral, no matter how well you would do on your comprehension, no matter how hard you would study for English, you would literally just cover average. You would get no more than 60%. It was so frustrating because all my other subjects I was passing with like 80, 75, 90%. But in English I was just like scraping by. It's like I couldn't speak English, or I couldn't understand the language. I could understand with Afrikaans, struggling to get 80 or 90% because it wasn't my first language and it was just hella hard to do Afrikaans. In my English, she was patronizing that way. And I don't know why she never got busted, because some of the most brilliant black kids were getting 60. They were just scraping on 60% for English. This teacher, it was only when I got to university that I realized she was a liar when it came to my essays. She made me believe that I was average until my first ever essay that I produced in psychology 101 at Wits University. I got like 85%. I was like, yo, that teacher was lying. That teacher was lying. When you put in the blood, sweat, and tears into something, it should bear fruit. And you find out that somebody was thwarting you or sabotaging you when you move to a new environment, and all of a sudden you start to do really very well. Well, it happened with me initially with Facebook, right? Not Facebook. Yeah, Facebook, yes. Initially with Facebook before they targeted me, typically as the African that I am. And it also happened with TikTok before TikTok decided to shadow ban me. I was growing so much better on both Facebook and TikTok than on YouTube that I realized that I've been targeted on YouTube. YouTube was like my English teacher, insisting I get only 60%, whereas I was like phenomenally growing on TikTok until I just stopped. And I was phenomenally growing on Facebook until I just stopped at 1,000 followers. And all three places now I am frozen. How targeted is this unfortunate soul? Anyway, whatever. Well, Tube buddy, you know, I employed all the strategies that I possibly could, and I was still failing. So the Lord has made it clear to me that I have to be so excellent that America will be exposed. And the Lord has also made it clear to me that it's not just me, because if it was just me with this issue, then it would be negligible. I would be an anomaly, something as an outlier on this like particular curve. And so for those reasons, whatever, we ignore her because she's just one case, except it's not one case. Many people. And before I went on to this whole explanation, I told you guys about an African hair content creator by the name of Angie B. I keep scraping the callous skin on my face because of my acne, and I need to stop doing that because it's gross. Anyway, whatever. Angie B Angie B, that's her name, and her whole name is spelled, her YouTube channel, there are spaces between all of her characters, so A and N and G, yeah, they are like A space N space G, yeah, Angie B. Alright, yeah, Angie B was the Lord that has been this content creator that God has been bringing to the top of my mind over and over and over again to explain to me why Angie's been growing so slowly, right? Like I told you, she is not from America. She is she's from Africa somewhere. Angie, okay? Very well. Now, listen to this. Recommended keyword search, and I employed it. That's to a point where I even put in my like default keywords on YouTube so that they would automatically appear in every video, that when people are searching for certain content they would find me. I put in a set amount of keywords to improve my searchability should people use keywords by putting them in the tags that are default and the keywords that are default. Insofar as I wasn't keyword stuffing, which is something I was taught not to do because YouTube punishes against that, I was safe. And so I didn't keyword stuff. I just put in certain keywords that are, of course, applicable to every video. Things like Christianity, religion, relationships, depending, like, yeah, all the stuff that I usually talk about, witchcraft, blah, blah, I stuffed them in there as searchable keywords. Now, if somebody is looking for advice concerning some of the things that I cover, and trust me, there is a need. There is a need because people are incarcerated and the Lord has come to set the captives free. So there are people who are feeling really stranded with demonic attack and they don't know how to deal with it. So my keywords should help people come find my channel. because they're looking for a solution. Is there somebody on YouTube talking about this? Yes, there is, honey. You just can't find her. You just can't find her. So essentially, YouTube has made it useless to even purchase the pro version of TubeBuddy. I eventually got rid of TubeBuddy because I got saddened by the observation of the lack of growth. And TubeBuddy will throw your subscriber number in your face because it is literally like a panel on the right of your computer. So I unplugged TubeBuddy so I don't get to see how badly my channel is growing. I survived this lack of growth by literally pretending I don't look at my analytics because I have been thwarted. And just like with my English teacher in university, and not in university, sorry, but in high school, I have come to learn that the English teacher is the one that's into freaking sabotage. I have come to learn that I'm not the problem. I've come to learn that the problem is the bias in the teacher. So I'm not going to allow myself to feel shabby and worthless and like I am no good at all because some stupid teacher is seeing it fit to decimate my future, because some teacher is trying to convince the world that I can't speak English, because even though I've got the gift of the gab and the power of oratory, some teachers trying to make it look as if though I stumble over my words, I fumble, and I frankly don't make any sense at all. She has had it in for me since high school, but now that I'm in university I know better. Well, I'm in the Tanamount of Wits University now, and the equivalent of a lecturer that without a bias fairly marks my script is God Almighty. And the Lord has basically snatched me out of observing my statistics that I might feel like trash. I literally do not look at my subscriber numbers. I don't look at my analytics. I don't look at my likes or lack thereof. I don't look at anything. I've even closed comments, because when your channel is that small, you will get one or two excellent comments from somebody, and then you will get like 3 or 4 horrible comments, because you're not getting a fair number of people looking at you to rightly enable you to balance out all the wicked talk, because you are also largely being supported by people who on average will like what you say. Do you know what I'm saying? So when there's no such balance, when you read comments in a channel that has been shadow banned by YouTube, you will get hurt like no man's business, because you will literally only attract, and so the rubbish that you attract will comment rubbish, and this rubbish will break your heart, making you feel like you're nothing at all, and you will throw in the towel. So my strategy has been to silence comments, disable them, as well as not look at analytics, and it's worked like a charm, because I just upload in spite of going nowhere, because I recognize I'm still under the tutelage of a dumb teacher that only favors Indian kids and is ransacking the lives of white kids, especially black kids, and everybody else. And wonke umuntu is out here coming out with just 50% when they should have achieved 75% in an essay. So I'm not listening to this teacher, because this teacher is going to make me stop working on my talent. This teacher is going to make me throw in the towel on that which I know is going to eventually pay off, bear fruit for me. So since this teacher has got power to thwart my future by making me believe that I am talentless when I am talented, I'm just going to stop listening to this satanic teacher. Well, YouTube, or instead of saying YouTube, let me rather say America, is the satanic teacher. It is the saboteur. It is the teacher that is telling really brilliant kids you're nobody. But these brilliant kids ultimately get to a point where everybody sees how gifted they are, and when then they are still producing 60% in an exam, albeit having earned 90%, people are going to know it for what it is and recognize the sabotaging nature of this teacher. And when then the teacher gets busted, let's say by the principal, doing such a thing as this, the teacher is going to have to be put on some kind of a tribunal to explain herself as to why she discriminated against kids in the class, and she's basically facing what? Being fired from the school, because she is messing with the future of children. America is that teacher, and it is facing a future of a freaking tribunal where it's going to have to account for why it is sabotaging civilians across the world that are innocent and playing dirty in war. And it won't be unprepared to face that music. And so, like this sabotaging teacher facing a tribunal, however, being tipped off that, hey, they're investigating you, cheeky, because your results are anomalous. It is becoming noticed that only Indian students thrive in your classroom. And because only Indian students are thriving, it caused a further deeper investigation into why only Indian kids are passing English with A's. And among the investigated students, Indian students that, among the kids that are thriving, are Indian students that, don't do that well in other classes, and yet they're killing it in English. And also non-Indian students that are doing so well in other classes that they should also automatically be doing well in English. So why are they only failing English? Or why are they mediocre in only English? How do you get an A student in maths and science and biology and accounting And then when it comes to English, they're just scraping by. How does that even make sense? How does that even make sense? So if somebody tips this teacher off, this teacher might then be like, oh snap, I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to get put on a tribunal. I'm going to have to be investigated. So before then, the investigation gets to a point where she's been called into meetings to account for this anomaly. She then quickly fixes it and quickly gives 80% to the white kid, 90% to the black kid, 75% to this colored kid. And next thing, the stats start to become balanced out, where the kids that were doing well in other subjects, biology, science, she focuses on them first. Based on the academic nature of the straight A student, except for English, she then looks for that particular student and then fixes her account first. Results first. Goes and recalibrates her results to match against all her other subjects. So she grabs first the A students and then the B students. And then these students that are on the top tier of the high school, the grade, once she has fairly marked them, then she focuses on everybody else that is average and below, to make sure that they are now calibrated properly, so that English is not the only anomaly out of all the subject sets. So she will first choose the straight A's, then she will choose the B's, then you get my point, on a sliding scale. And then when the investigative tribunal body chair sort of kind of member team does their investigations, they'll be like, no guys, come on, we were paranoid. It's not happening, because look at Karabo, who is an A student across the board. She's also now getting A's for English. Maybe on that particular day she had bad coffee, and so she did not do well in her oral. But according to these statistics now, it is clear that Karabo is standard, it is consistent across all of her subjects. So first they will go for really good content creators that are obviously being persecuted, and then they will fix it. They will literally open what will be the tenement of the floodgates, and the water will come gushing in, and they will suddenly get such good reviews. They will suddenly grow so fast that it'll be like, nah, we're just paranoid. Which then brings me to the people who are currently sitting on 100,000 subscribers, 200,000, coming from Africa, coming from Ghana, coming from South Africa, coming from somewhere in Jeffela around these streets, who are like, Karabo, no, this is not happening to me. How long did it take you to get to 100,000 subscribers? Did it take you 5 years? Why did it take you 5 years? When some American content creators get that number in the same niche doing the exact same job in just 1 year, it is not, the world is currently very interested in what other people across the world are doing. So it is not that people are happy to just be shoved down their throat, Americans only. We know that this is true with TikTok, because look at how fervently TikTok creators across all countries are growing as soon as they upload their videos. Herein lies another observation. Why is it that when people are struggling to grow on YouTube, they first go to TikTok and then garner for themselves an audience there and send them to Facebook? It is because there is an egalitarian algorithm in TikTok that helps people grow, and you can therefore send your audience over to YouTube. So African content creators are having to come up with the strategy. There is one comedian guy from South Africa that grew his YouTube channel that way, who first garnered for himself a violent followership on TikTok and then brought them to Facebook. So you have to be an important be-all and end-all of a marketer. Do you understand? With loads of with loads of strategies, like just up your sleeve. Do you understand what I'm saying? In order to gain yourself an audience, when it's unfair, it's like expecting, yet again, me and these analogies. In order to pass a maths exam, one student gets told by the teacher chapters 1 to 7 of a textbook that has got 32 chapters, and then another student yet another student gets told by the same teacher, because she's deliberately trying to sabotage the outcome of student 2. There's a maths exam coming on Tuesday, and the whole textbook might be in there, I don't know. So the one student, you tell them chapter 1 to 7, and the other student, you tell them out of a 32 chapter textbook, anything could be in there in all of that textbook. You are setting the second student up for failure. But if the second student passes anyway with flying colors, you have essentially created a stronger genius out of the second student than the first. All that the first student knows is chapter 1 to 7. But the second student passed that exam with 90% because they know the whole. That's how America has shot itself in the foot. It has created lethargy and laziness in its own content creators because they have been given an unfair advantage, whereas everybody else has had to bend over backwards and become marketers overnight with no degree, with no skill, no expertise, but out of desperation to grow their channels, have gone on right ahead to do all different kinds of ventriloquist tricks, bending their bodies over backwards just to gain the same subscriber numbers as American content creators. They have had to flourish themselves violently on TikTok and go to Instagram and come up with all different kinds of strategies just to garner for themselves an audience in YouTube. So the mass followership, discipling followers from TikTok to YouTube, that whole thing has been literally the bread and butter of African content creators. The only way out. Yes, Americans do it too, to grow their audience, because TikTok, like I said, is egalitarian that way. It's kind of fair in the way that it deals with its content creators. It's kind of fair. And so because it's fair, even Americans are using this strategy. But remember, Americans have already an added advantage on YouTube. So they don't have to scrape by as badly as Africans. But what that is doing is creating or cultivating a stronger work ethic and therefore better quality by the discriminated against content creators. And when people discover the knowledge kaleidoscope, depth of knowledge, marginalized content creators by YouTube or by American platforms, when they recognize the stronger knowledgeability, these marginalized groups, more so is the unfairness of it all going to become clear to people. The brilliance African content creators naturally, and then also, nurture versus nature. They naturally have got the talent, and then they chisel it. They put brasso in it and make it sparkle and shine because they have to work that much harder, 10 times harder, just to get 10,000 subscribers. That is going to outshine the living daylights out of Americans. Not because Americans are not good, but because Americans have been made lazy by their country's sabotage of other nations. On the day when YouTube eventually makes a decision to open these floodgates, because like I said, the English teacher that is obviously sabotaging all students in favor of Indians, you can't carry on like that. Once people get onto you, then Americans are going to look really bad because of how much better everybody else is going to be at what they do, given that they will have been made to study an entire textbook to pass the maths test, whereas Americans will have only had to do chapters 1 to 7. That's what the sabotage will do. Romans 8:28. All things work out together for the good of them who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. So when you play dirty, the rug gets pulled from under your feet. When you are into ill-gotten gain, when you want to just quickly get something without working for it, it'll eventually catch up with you, and it's going to lag you behind. It's going to deter your vision, your goal, and your mission. And you are then going to have to play catch up later when things are equalized. When things are equalized, and that catch up might take you, since it took the first content creators that were struggling 5 years. So you're gonna have to basically start running. The muscular dystrophy that is in American content creators now is going to have to be cured. They're going to have to start running, doing physiotherapy like everybody else in order to, compete on the same level as the people that have been sabotaged to look bad. But now that the world is noticing that this content does not make sense to be ignored, America's gonna fix it. They're gonna literally straighten up and fly, right? They're gonna do it. I've already prophesied this before, but this is not even about the whole American thing, but about the whole witchcraft phenomenon and what it is that I discovered this weekend to help you understand the quietness, the silence for Weekend Fair. The self-sabotage of America, which they imagine presently is the improvement of their country, they will get cured from it, right? Why? Because of the kind of observation that I have made this past weekend. Like I told you, TikTok sucks because South Africa hates the gospel, and they told TikTok to ignore me. But all other South Africans are not being ignored on TikTok, so they've got quite a lovely experience on TikTok, unless you're a truth channel. But truth channels are being targeted by everybody, not just TikTok, so you can expect generally, if you are a truth channel, to be persecuted across the world because global elites are trying to push a particular narrative, a particular agenda, and they're using social media platforms to do that. But the nationality of the social media platform will tell you that nation's strategy. And I've already explained to you that the strategy by ByteDance, which is Chinese, evidences what China's trying to do to America. And America's retaliation is by being severely underhanded as a country that's not China. So China is this authoritarian country with very limited regard for human rights. Whereas America prides itself in human rights. So America is not going to pride itself in being underhanded or shoddy like China. It's not going to pride itself about threatening, for instance, a sovereign nation like Taiwan, sitting where it's sitting in the island that it's at, peacefully, with Xi Jinping being like, I want you. America claims to frown on stuff like that. But when then America is literally grabbing entire sovereign countries and just invading them digitally, they're doing exactly what China's doing, or trying to do, or they're doing exactly what Russia has done, however, in a way that is not observable. But when it becomes observable, given their initial reputation, they're not going to want anything to be associated with that particular thing. So they're going to fix it. That is where my hope comes in the future. But what's the thing that is going to lead America to eventually change its mind? Grab me and put a multiplier on me. I'm not the only one. If I was the only victim, this would be useless. But I'm not the only one. Because I'm not the only one, what I am doing to survive the death on my life is exactly what everybody else that is being sabotaged by America is also doing. And when you work as hard as I do, and you are obviously excellent, and you are going nowhere, however, you are like one who is evidencing that you've got a dumb teacher that is literally asking to get fired from her job. And when, like for instance, in my school with this teacher, there were many students that were victims of her. Many students. And it was the number of students that would ultimately, I guess, cause a little bit of a tribunal against people. America is not just targeting me alone. I am nobody. I'm insignificant. They're targeting millions of such content creators. When you happen upon the YouTube GUI without logging on, they will slap you with Americans only, even though you're coming from South Africa. When you log on, they will slap you with Americans still, but when you teach the algorithm what you prefer to watch, they will slap you with Americans in that niche. So if you like baking and cooking, they will slap you with baking and cooking from an American chef. If you like sewing and knitting, they will slap you with sewing and knitting from an American seamstress. If you like playing tennis, they will slap you with tennis players from America. If you are a gospel servant and you want to listen to the gospel on YouTube, they will slap you with American preachers, American evangelists, American dreamers and vision seers, etc. And you will imagine it's okay, it's normal. Why? Because the world has been trained to switch on a TV, and for the better majority hear an American accent, because they have been number one in proliferating entertainment in the world. So on the come up, I watched more American television than I did South African television, because that's what Simunye, oh we are one, even back then, that's what they were showing us. NYPD Blues, Ally McBeal, I could go on. I was watching that as a kid. So we have been basically socially conditioned to expect 60 to 70, if not 80% of our viewing to come from America. So when then you have a TV and video on demand in the form of YouTube videos, it does not become strange to you when, just like in the days of Simunye, oh we are one, and Bob TV, you are seeing mostly American content, and then every so often you watch Lisilo Rula type thing. You will think it's normal, but back then it was explainable because America was literally producing the bulk of the world's entertainment at high quality. But not anymore. It's 2023, and even our production companies are doing so much better than, for instance, a show or a movie done in South Africa back in the day was such low quality in comparison to an American film. Put them side by side and you won't be able to tell the difference. Other nations have caught up with production quality from the past. Meaning that if you were back in the day watching mostly American content because they were just so much better at special effects and all that beautiful stuff. Now what is the reason for people not watching that much African content? Not watching that much Asian content? Like, what's the reason now? What is the reason there is not that much popularity? If you think, for instance, about K-entertainment, K-romance, Korean shows, I've grown quite fond of Korean television. Why? Because they're modest. They're modest and they avoid swearing. It's hard to find that in America. Korean shows avoid foul language, they avoid sex scenes, and they avoid nudity. So you won't find somebody barely dressed and, all different kinds of nastiness going on there. You're also not going to find the colorful agenda a lot, the LGBTQI blah 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 plus agenda. You're not going to find that shoved down your throat. So it's really very easy to watch Korean shows. You can click on it on Netflix and trust that you're not going to be offended. It's one of the biggest reasons why I prefer Korean shows, and the Korean entertainment industry is therefore flourishing, evidencing that the world is sick and tired of American immorality. The world is exhausted with American immorality, shoving down the colorful agenda down your throat, shoving down foul language down your throat, shoving down sex scenes that are unnecessary down your throat, kissing by same-sex couples and all that. Like, literally, they are like shocking the living daylights out of our eyes. So if you want to guarantee that you're not going to see two gay men kissing, watch a Korean show. You will be guaranteed not only not seeing that, but you will also be guaranteed not dealing with some woman that thinks that sleeping with multiple men is okay, type setup thing, proliferating with glamorizing evil. So they're falling apart. And also the quality of the shows is very high standard. They also still believe in romance. They still believe in the patriarchy. Feminism is if anything, very quite heavily frowned upon in Asian countries, including South Korea. So for those reasons, I like it because it still holds on to biblical standards of the way that the world should be. It reminds me of 1992, watching entertainment sitting down in front of a TV in 1990. It's just like the good old days, okay? It's like they have not allowed themselves to get tarnished that way. Now, if people are still drawn to purity, it means all is not lost. But that America is making it look as if all is lost. And America is only continuing to make it look like all is lost because America, who owns the world's social media platforms largely, is proliferating the American thing. You will only happen upon American content, unless, even in your own logged on state and in your own selection of a niche, unless you specifically type in the keywords South African or Korean or Ghanaian. Now, if you type in South African, you will only find those people who have put South African content creator or YouTuber in their handle. When then a person doesn't know that this is what's going on, when they have not yet made an observation that America is like literally screwing with everybody, they will just upload a video that's very important and go nowhere purely because of where they're uploading from. They will go nowhere purely because they're in South Africa. And that is the kind of stuff that then causes them to really just deeply try to find out what am I doing wrong? If they want to foster and push, what am I doing wrong? So when then you try to improve yourself in order to get better views, in order to improve the recognition of your talent by other people, you will improve. When you actually seek, you find. When you knock, the door gets opened. When you research, you learn. And when you learn, you don't perish. When you gain knowledge, you go from strength to strength. So they are literally putting people in a position to better themselves because they are unprepared to accept that they are substandard. These are people that in their own countries, they were well received and they were well liked. And in the same niche and ecosystem, they appear to get listened to. And now the world is saying you're not good enough. I'm sorry. Some people just won't take that because that is like accepting defeat. So when you improve yourself, you start to become a travesty when you go nowhere. And America is literally gawking at a world full of travesties. So many channels all over the show or online platforms that are going nowhere, albeit being way more brilliant than a lot of American content creators. It's like, why is no one looking at this woman? Which then brings me to Angie B. Angie B was the small, she was, at the time when I met her, she was sitting on maybe 20 to 30,000 subscribers. I was like, whoa, why is this woman so small? And I kept on watching her videos because there was a time when I was very interested in hair. And over the months, she was just, guys, over a month, she would gain 1,000 subscribers. I was like, why is this woman growing so slowly? Why is she growing so slowly? Because I frankly find her content better than Mercy Gono's. And Mercy is not American. She is, I believe, Nigerian, but she's in America, right? So if they recognize you as being an American or in America, they'll leave you alone. Yeah. And I was like, but she's better than Mercy. She's better than this and that. Why does Mercy have 2 million subscribers while this chick, Angie B, is so much better than her? I don't understand. I literally could not understand why Angie B was going nowhere. I couldn't understand why she was going nowhere. Until over the years, the Lord opened my eyes as to what's going on over there. Who are the Angie Bs? All African content creators. Angie B today is sitting on, I believe, just over 100,000 subscribers. She finally got there. America's not going to be so dumb as to prevent all Africans from getting anywhere, but they will slow you down. They will put a power dampener in you if at all you're into watching meta shows. They will limit how quickly you grow. They will slow so that having the same quality of work, you will get to where you need to get in a much longer amount of time than somebody would have been on equal playing ground with you, but they're not working as hard because they don't have to because they're American, but you're putting in the time. So the day is going to arrive, which it already has come. I'm sorry, I ain't hating on Mercy. You will look at Mercy's 2 million followers and you will look at Angie B's 100,000 subscribers and you will be like, I'm sorry, but Angie's better. What's going on here? I cannot sit out Mercy's content anymore because she keeps repeating the same videos over and over and over and over again and says the same thing. Sometimes she re-uploads the same content, whereas Angie has fresh content all the time. Why is Angie so slow in comparison to Mercy Gono? These observations, if I could make that observation, and I'm not Einstein, anybody else can. If I could make that observation, all right, anybody else can. Anybody else can make that observation. And it's already starting to happen. My channel is one such travesty where I am being found. I'm very severely shadow banned. And when you get shadow banned early in your days as a content creator, you will grow very super slow. You're better off getting shadow banned when you're sitting on 100,000 subscribers, because then your subscribers will keep on coming back and watching you and pushing your content in the algorithm to new people, even though it's hard. And by word of mouth, you will also be proliferated by your existing subscriber base. But when they shadow ban you when you're just at 700 subscribers, you're basically impossibly expected to grow. Impossibly. So when somebody finds you anyway, when somebody watches you anyway, they will then wonder when you're sitting on 700 subscribers when they first subscribed to you, and then after 3 months of watching your content consistently, see you sitting on 715 subscribers. 3 months of following you consistently, they will start to crease their foreheads. I am so addicted to this chick's content. I literally cannot put her videos down when she's talking, and I found her by happenstance. How under heaven is nobody else even trying to listen to this? And how has she only grown 15 subscribers since I first subscribed to her? And how also is she getting like 1 or 2 views, sometimes 0 views per video? I don't get it. There has been an American man that contacted me some time ago that also asked me that same question on some, Karabo, have you ever tried doing like a road show or going somewhere to actually speak to an audience, because you're not going to get anywhere speaking on YouTube because of censorship? Is ridiculous. Because I don't understand why your content is so good and nobody's watching you. I told this guy, in order for me to even succeed to get anybody to listen to me at a road show, I have to succeed online. Where am I going to get people to invite to come to listen to me elsewhere, anywhere? Plus, you know my life. I'm poverty stricken. I'm going nowhere. I do nothing. So for those reasons, I don't even have money to market with flyers and stuff. An event where I would go and explain what it is that God has shown me. Plus, I also am not in the business of charging for the gospel, because he was recommending that I charge a fee for people to come listen to me. I was like, if you think I'm that good at speaking, then you need to look at your own country as to why they're blocking me from speaking to a people. Basically, that man made the same observation that I made about Angie B. And you must understand, he's not the only one that has made such an observation. There are other of my subscribers or people that happen upon me by miracle that watch my content, pleasantly surprised, and then follow me for any amount of time. And after that time has progressed, when they first meet my content, they think maybe I started yesterday. Maybe I started uploading yesterday. That's why I'm only sitting on 700 subscribers. But then they sit with me for 6 months. And it's like, 5 people viewed this, 4 people. I'm sorry. It's just so darned obvious. And when you get shadow banned at such an early stage of your growth in ministry, you will struggle to garner to yourself any audience at all looking at you. So YouTube would have looked less horrible if they had shadow banned me maybe when I was sitting on 5,000 subscribers. Maybe when I was sitting on 10,000. Then I would have looked like I'm just growing slowly, but I'm growing nonetheless. But when you are shadow banned at such a low number of subscribers, you will go nowhere. Because your subscriber base is the most important proliferator of a person's content when they are shadow banned. You rely on your subscribers and on word of mouth when you're shadow banned to be pushed along. So when you're only sitting on 700 subscribers, and we all know that subscriber to view ratio is very low. So you might have 700 subscribers, but you're definitely never going to get 700 views for every video you upload. Subscribers, and I know that I'm guilty of this, I will watch one video, and then after like 2 weeks I will go back and I'll watch another one. After 3 weeks another one. Maybe even a whole 5 months might progress before I go back and watch the content of someone I'm subscribed to. So sometimes subscribers can forget about you for an entire year and then come back and watch something that you have uploaded, even though it keeps getting recommended on their pages. Even though when you upload new content, they see it, they will ignore you and watch everybody else because I've listened to her before. I'll see you next week. So when the smaller the number of subscribers, the more screwed you essentially are when you get shadow banned. And I got shadow banned at just 680 subscribers or something, and that was just over a year ago. And I'm sitting right now on 700 and something. Well, as at last time I checked anyway. I don't even check anymore. That's what's good. So when you're growing that slowly, but there are people that notice that there's something wrong with this picture, you are shooting yourself in the foot when you are the saboteur. And this activity is happening, like I said, on truth channels. This is going to be an issue across the board. we're gonna get shadow banned. And so when a truth channel is shadow banned, there is no cause for creasing a forehead and wondering, but why is America doing this to people? Because it's not just America that is shadow banning content creators. Everywhere they're shadow banning truth channels. Everywhere. And like taboo, if they think you're taboo, you will be shadow banned. Pinterest, everywhere they are shadow banning truth channels. But the people that are exposing the sabotaging nature of America are the neutral channels. The channels that do food, hair, sports, travel, fitness. These channels are neutral channels. In other words, they don't offend. They don't offend. Do you understand what I'm saying? They are just giving advice on nutrition and that's it. These channels are not being come up against by the World Economic Forum at large, by global bodies of the earth, the United Nations. These channels, peace and security type channels, they're not hurting the earth. They also are struggling. Like I said, Angie B was not from America, is not from America. And so Angie B's, in this regard, the Lord used it to explain to me what's happening, not only to me, but many Africans across the board. And it took me a while to figure it out. But what has the challenge of Angie B caused Angie B to do? Be much better than Mercy Gono. What have my channels forced me to do? Be much better than many of the content creators in my own niche too. However, yet travesty is gawking at everybody, barely viewed. Nobody is even looking at me. What is this saying about America by those who are seeing me? What are you doing? So America is literally about to experience the equivalent of a Bud Light by the observations across the world of how it is that you are literally thwarting from getting where we need to get. I am exhausted personally of every time I look for something online, finding nothing but American recommendations. Like I said earlier, a search engine optimized site will be the first thing to pop up when you look for something in a keyword search on Google. But this search engine optimized site should not be the first thing to pop up when you search for something on YouTube. It should not be the first thing that pops up, because on YouTube, the thing that pushes your result to the uppermost is you individually as a content creator, a YouTuber, learning the algorithm. You have to teach yourself. YouTube does not it shouldn't anyway, pull any favors for anybody because they paid a fee. So you know that YouTube is pulling favors for Americans when their stuff is coming up tops. They are the SEO company that is freely giving Americans free advertising. You know what I'm saying? And it is at the expense of Africans. When you put in the keywords and when you put in the time and the effort that it takes to be uppermost in the search results, because you've done the research and you've used TubeBuddy or some other to help you along in your videos and it's still not working. That's all the effort that you're putting in and even all the money that you have paid to try and improve yourself going to the dogs. And the sad thing is all of for instance, TubeBuddy is an American company, so too is the other one that I forget the name of. So when you pay TubeBuddy a premium in order for them to help you along to grow your channel and you still don't grow, that's you giving money to an American company and yet not gaining the benefits of taking their advice because America is deliberately thwarting you. And that is exactly what happened with Filmora, where it is that I paid the money, but it rather exsanguinated the functionality of my computer. Similarly too with WordPress. WordPress is for me the most painful thing that I experienced. Okay, WordPress is an American company as well, and it's my blog and I've had it for a very long amount of time where I write. I bought a premium plan on WordPress so I could monetize and earn ad revenue. I haven't earned a single cent this year despite having initially started out writing. Why? Because I'm shadow banned even on WordPress. So they targeted me as a South African. So I paid WordPress a premium to earn ad revenue, and it just turns out that I just enriched an American company only for that to be a failed investment. I put in, how much did I pay? I think something almost like 2,500 or something for that premium, for that domain, because I imagined I was going to get the money back. I literally imagined I was going to get the money back and then some, because I was investing in making money. And I wrote articles and wrote them and still got nowhere. I earned zero. So I lost 2,500 rands that enriched a company that decided to block me from growing. Yes, guys, it's evil. Like, it's so nefarious. Yeah, I was embittered by that, but then the Lord has been showing me, this is gonna pay off in the end. They have shot themselves in the foot. When you put in all the time you need to put in, and you also buy American software in order to improve your experiences, in order to also improve the likelihood of people embracing your content, and you still get nowhere. At some point, you're going to develop such a bitter taste in your mouth against America when their video editors, online and offline, crash your computer, when everything that they recommend to you works less than other things you find sitting in Bangladesh, people are then eventually going to even migrate away from purchasing American software. What is making Filmora not upgrade their software, their video editor, to fit Mac, so that people won't have to find CapCut? I would not have had to search for CapCut, which is not even that easy to find, if at all you're not looking for it. It's so badly advertised. I don't even think CapCut is not advertised at all. If you look for a video editor, CapCut is not going to be the first thing. You will find out about CapCut by word of mouth. If anything, that company ByteDance is not even so focused on making money off CapCut as they are using it as a vessel to get somewhere else. They're using it as a vessel in order to get people to their platform, which is TikTok. So that's why it's free. And they keep on upgrading it, and the upgrades of CapCut are becoming increasingly superior to Filmora. And guess what CapCut is? Entirely free.